All right, we are recording this. This is the game plan Zoom meeting right after lecture to make sure everybody understands the directions for the graphs daily projects, graphs 1 and graphs 2. Last week, somebody had mentioned that they didn't really understand the directions or they misread them or they overlooked the directions. So we're trying this meeting right after lecture to help people clarify any questions they might have on the repo for the day so that they're not wasting any time doing the wrong thing. So just talking about our objectives and what we're trying to accomplish. So I'll wait for some people to get up in here. Oh yeah.
Hey there.
Oh yeah. What's up, Jade?
Nothing much.
Thought we'd try this since so many people had suggested that we should try this week. I guess we can start. I mean, since you're here, I mean, I'm recording this, so.
Okay.
Any
Tani
like?
and I ended up being in the same group, so she should be here soon.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
So
anything that is particularly tricky about today's assignment or yesterday's?
I haven't had a chance to look at what today's assignment is, so I'm going there right now.
Okay, cool. Would you mind actually sharing your screen as well, so that way the recording also captures that, please? Thanks.
Sure. Screen. Okay.
Awesome.
Try to get to the top of everything. So today is ancestor. All right, let me actually get here.
Okay.
Get to the README. Close all this out right now. And here we go. README. Wait, did I do the right one? No, that's the graphs. Here we go. Okay. So earliest ancestor. Let's take home coding challenge from top tech company, and the spec is provided verbatim. So the problem, suppose we have some input data describing a graph of relationships between parents and children over multiple generations. The data is formatted as a list of parent-child pairs where each individual is assigned a unique integer identifier. For example, in this diagram, and the sample input, 3 is a child of 1 and 2. Okay. and
Mm-hmm.
5 is a child of 4.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Write a function that, given the data set and the ID of the individual in the data set, returns their earliest known ancestor, the one at the farthest distance from the input individual. Okay. If there is more than one ancestor tied for earliest, return the one with the lowest numeric ID. If the input individual has no parents, the function should return -1. Okay.
Nice.
Okay, for example, input 6. So that's here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to the furthest. So 3, 1, 3, 2, 6, 3, 6, 5, 5, 7. Example, it's doing a search and then it makes sure to get to 10 here.
Yep.
So input would be here, and then this is the output it's expecting.
Yep. What's up, Tani?
Hello.
Hey, Tani.
We are going over the just the README for today's project, and I'm recording this so we can drop it in the channel. But just discussing the README and making sure everybody is like on the same page, because everyone like talked about this last week and how awesome it'd be. So
Yeah, just to go over it, definitely.
yeah. Have you had a chance to look at this yet, Tani?
I have not.
This is the first time that we're looking at it too. So, or I mean, Jay's looking at it first time. Yeah.
Okay. Clarifications. Input will not be empty. There are no cycles in input. There are no repeated ancestors. If two individuals are connected, it is by exactly one path. So directional path. IDs will always be positive integers. A parent may have any number of children.
Nice.
So,
Let's see, Tani, can you read the instructions out loud since you just hopped in, and then we'll just make sure that we clarify any questions people might have.
Sure.
Cool.
All right. So this is a take-home coding challenge from a top tech company. The specs provided verbatim. Suppose we have some input data describing a graph of relationships between parents and children over multiple generations. The data is formatted as a list of parent-child pairs, where each individual is assigned a unique integer identifier. For example, in this diagram and the sample input, 3 is a child of 1 and 2, and 5 is a child of 4.
So
Write
you
a
see that in
function
the graph real quick? Do you notice that real quick? Let's notice it. So 3 is a child of 1 and 2, right? 3 is a child of 1 and 2, and 5 is a child of 4. Okay, good.
Write a function that, given the dataset and the ID of an individual in the dataset, returns their earliest known ancestor, the one at the farthest distance from the input individual. If there's more than one ancestor tied for earliest, return the one with the lowest numeric ID. If the input individual has no parents, the function should return -1.
So does that make sense?
it's starting to make sense
So.
with someone else reading it now.
Yeah, okay, I'll read it then, and that would be Tani's second time because you read it first and then Tani read it, and so you got 2 exposures to it. So I'll read it again really slow, and then that'll give Tani a second exposure to it. Cool?
Cool, thanks.
Yep. So the problem, suppose we have some input data describing a graph of relationships between parents and children over multiple generations. The data is formatted as a list of parent first and then child second in the set, where each individual is assigned a unique integer identifier, just ID. For example, in this diagram in the sample input, 3 is a child of 2 and of 1 and 2, and 5 is a child of 4. Nice. Okay, write a function that, given the data set and the ID of an individual, so that right there tells you have 2 parameters, right? your data set, and then the ID. So that's 2 parameters. So there's number 1 and parameter number 2. Of an individual in the data set returns their earliest known ancestor. So the one at the farthest distance from the input individual. And then the example they provide here is, so if they give you 6, right, because that would be the second parameter right here, the ID of the individual. And then you also are given the data set. But if you choose 6, then like right here, right, you have to find the earliest known ancestor, which would be what? The example output right here. It'd be 10, right? Right there. It wouldn't be 5, even though 5 is an ancestor of 6, right?
And what's the furthest?
The furthest, yep. So once the
Distance.
yep. And then it says here, return the one with the lowest numeric ID if there is more than one ancestor tied for earliest. So what would, here's an example of that. Yeah, so if they input 9, the example input is 9, then you have 2 ancestors here that are both earliest. They're both considered earliest. So which one would you return in that case?
We would need to return 4
Correct.
because it's the lowest numeric.
Lowest numeric ID, yep. If the input individual has no parents, the function should return -1 or -1. So what's an example of that one?
So any of these here on the top.
Correct. Yep. So let me just, yeah, so you're talking about any of these right here, right? That don't have any direct parents.
Yeah, 2, 4, and 11.
Yep. And this one too. Okay, cool. So everybody understands that. That's good. Any other questions on that one? Tony?
No, not on that.
Jade? Okay.
Well, I guess we're kind of looking at this as, because I'm trying to relate it back to graphs. So this is just like the directional, I guess undirected.
So like there's no arrows, but
Yeah.
Generally like, because you're given you generally want to move upwards, right?
Yeah.
Simply for the fact that you're trying to find an ancestor. I guess you could traverse it both ways though. Like directed would mean like you can only go one way. But I mean, I guess depending on the problem. Yeah. But here they want to find like the earliest ancestor, not descendant.
Yeah, so it's non-directional in theory, but we are going to look up.
Yeah. So here's a good question. So for this situation, like, would you rather use a traversal or a search?
I would think a search.
Why?
Because you're looking for, oh, wait. Never mind. I think I'm wrong.
No, you're right.
Okay. Search.
You're correct.
Well, we're looking.
Because you're just following the line back. You don't have to look at every single other.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to look at all the neighbors. You just have to look at the parents.
What is the difference between like depth first traversal and like depth first search? What's the difference between traversal and search?
Traversal, you're going to touch every node.
Exactly. So that's going to return what kind of data structure?
What is it? If it's depth first.
I mean, either way, it's just going to return like more than one value, right?
Yeah, it's going to be multiple values.
Yeah, because you're like basically going to print out the path that it took you to get, you know, from one end to the other or whatever. So then if you do like a depth first search, you're actually going to stop at the value that you're looking for, right?
And you're returning only that single value.
Yeah, only one single value. Yep. So that's how you know if it's going to be a search or a traversal.
Okay.
And okay.
Do we want to look at the code just to see what they give us?
Sure.
Nothing. Okay.
Nothing. But look at what you're taking in though. So just like they talked about, they're going to take in like a data set, right?
Mhm.
Ancestors. And then you're also going to take in, the node that they want you to start from. And they're going to start like traversing through and searching.
Okay. I guess I do have one question, and maybe just to point myself in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Some of what this is looking for is kind of similar to what we've already done.
Yep. So you have to basically decide, so you know it's going to be search. You just have to decide if it's going to be, you're going to use depth first search or breadth first search.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that makes sense.
So you want to think about like what is breadth first search good for, and what is depth first search good for?
Okay. Okay.
And I assume we're not going to answer that. We shouldn't record that.
What's that?
Oh, nothing. It's okay.
Oh, no, this is recorded.
No, I understand. We don't have to answer that question.
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha. No, I want you guys to be able to figure it out too, though.
Okay, and then the example tests.
I guess I kind of answered that earlier too.
Answer which one earlier?
I kind of answered that question earlier, just not by name.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Cool. And so that we just have to do this one?
Yeah, this is for today.
That's the only one for today. And then yesterday, you guys get clarification on yesterday's stuff, or you need clarification on that too?
I think it's good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I just need to watch the video one more time and maybe just go over the material.
All right.
Yeah, I'm probably going to actually skim through Brady's again because I'm
Mhm.
actually taking notes this time.
Nice.
So I'll probably do that. I usually would have done notes sooner, but I enjoyed my Monday a little too much.
Cool. Yeah, if you guys want to put up a Zoom or something after lunch that people can jump in and jump out of, that would be cool. If you want to use mine, you can. I can. Actually, no, I'll have to do one-on-ones.
Are we supposed to do our group thing first?
Yeah,
the breakout?
We're supposed to meet back with our group.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Problem. Yeah.
Yep.
Which Jade and I actually are in the same group, so
Convenient.
just by chance.
Convenient. So yeah. Okay. Cool. Good luck, guys.
Awesome. Thanks for going through that.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
See ya.